Welcome to episode 14 of Behind the Shield. Today, we welcome former Spartan basketball All-American Jason Bady to the show. Hello again, everybody. Scott Guys joining you for another episode of Behind the Shield. Today, we get to talk to Jason about his playing career, his experiences in New York, and some of the things that are going on around our country right now. So after this commercial break, Jason Bady.
The results are in, and it's clear that our Spartan family really showed their love for York College this YCP Day of Giving. You played an integral role in helping us reach new heights. Thank you for your generosity. Gifts from donors like you make a difference in the lives of our students every single day. Your continued support is so important. Because YCP is a nonprofit, so much of the York College experience is a direct result of the generosity of our donors. This year's Day of Giving created opportunities for every current and future student by providing funding for scholarships, academic areas, and student life that tuition alone cannot cover. Thank you to the entire Spartan family, alumni, current students, parents, and friends of the college. We couldn't have done it without you.
Welcome back to episode 14, Behind the Shield. Today, a very special guest, Jason Bady, joins us. Jason, thanks for joining us.
No problem, Scott. Thanks for having me.
So I ask everybody what they're doing kind of now during quarantine, and we were talking a little bit before we went on. What you been up to since you graduated a couple weeks ago?
So I have been trying to work out as much as possible. I can't go to any gyms, but I got a little playground in my backyard, so I try to do pull-ups on that. I'll try and work a lot of body weight type exercises, push-up squats and things like that. And then I've been hopping around the city, going to any and every basketball court that's still open, trying to get shots up, trying to work out, trying to play the sport I love, even if it's on courts per se. Of lines, they're just a slab of black top and a hoop. So that's what I've been doing.
So the hope is still to continue to play once basketball starts back up again?
Absolutely.
So let's talk a little bit about your time at York. You came on board when we were not very good. We're just beginning our ascent up.
Right.
What are some of the things that you remember about your recruitment that Coach Hunter, when you were deciding on coming to York?
The biggest thing that I remember from my recruitment, especially for Coach Hunter, and the assistants at the time, it was Coach Van Zelt and Bollinger. They showed up to everything that I was at. All the tournaments that I went at on the East Coast, they were there. Either Bollinger, Van Zelt, or Coach Hunter. Either of those three would show up to all those tournaments. They would come up to me, they'd talk to me after the tournament, they'd send a letter home saying, we saw you, we like what we saw, keep playing the way you're playing, X, Y, Z, blah, blah, blah. And then that continued even into the high school season, my senior year, where he came up to probably 2 or 3 games, and he watched every single game. And I'm thinking back right now, I think we actually lost every game he came to. Even though we may have lost or I didn't play well, he come up to me, Jason, I like what you saw. You might not have the best game, but you were aggressive. You played the right way. And the constant communication that Coach had with me, my family, really stood out to us. We had a lot of different D3 schools reaching out to us, but Coach Hunter was persistent. He advocated all the time. There, he made his face. He showed his face whenever he could to us, to me and my family, to show that he wanted us, and that's what really stood out to us.
And how important would that play out, his level of communication throughout your career? Because that's one thing I think he has with his guys that I think is just really good.
Rolling over into my career, it was a thing where he would let you know, and he would talk to you, and he would invite you into the office and have conversations with you. that was one of the biggest things with Coach. He always wanted to invite people to office. He always say, "Hey, don't be shy. Come around." Even after I graduated, or even after I finished my senior year and had my 5th year at York, he would say, "Hey, don't be a stranger. Come around the office and things like that." And I would, and you would see me come to the office every once in a while too. That's so Scott. I just keep it put, and I keep going to go talk to Showers, go talk to Coach Hunter, things like that. And even now, he's actually Dalton Myers posted the idea of having alumni Zoom calls, and we've had I think we've had 2 of those now. And Coach Hunter has been on.
I can only imagine how entertaining those things are.
Oh yeah, there's a couple of topics that I touched that are like, wow, we all remember that right now.
Yeah.
But yeah, the level of communication and connection that Coach Hunter wants, and what he personally tries to have, is one of the biggest reasons that I came to York, and I feel like why I had a great connection with Coach during my time at York.
So overall, how was your experience at York? Obviously, on the floor, you had some unbelievable things. Player of the year as a senior, All-American. One of 6 guys to be an All-American in our school history. What was your experience like? First, we'll go on the floor, and then we'll talk about maybe off the floor a little bit.
On the floor was cool. I love basketball. Basketball is my safe haven. Whoever I'm playing basketball with, it doesn't matter who you are. You're my teammate. Even if you're not my teammate, unless I actually just don't like you as a player. Yeah, I love basketball, and I make friends by playing basketball, and I make friends by enjoying the things that I love. And so on the court was phenomenal, and off the court as well, especially with the team. There was nothing that was really bad about it. They were. I think I might have talked to you throughout my college years about and you might have seen me being a little distant. And it was never a thing where it was, I didn't like the guys. I enjoyed being around the guys. I enjoyed hanging around with the guys and hanging out on the weekends, talking to them, going to events with them, whatever, regardless. But there was never the really deep connection that I had with guys on the team. Like I said, not to say that it wasn't bad. There was no bad connections. We were all cool. I can still hit up every single one of them, have a talk. But it was never that really deep friend connection that you have with your college friends. Yeah. The guys that you talk to consistent basis, you reflect on about wild nights you might have had on the weekend and things like that. But I was able to find my friend group like that outside of the basketball team. And even though, like I said, I was cool with all the guys on the team, I hung out with them most of the time.
Yeah.
And I knew a lot of people on campus, and I was very involved. So there was a lot of different groups that I hung around, but there was a group of 4 guys, including me, that we did everything together, like on the weekends together. We say, hey, you want to go? Let's try and go bowling. Hey, let's go try and see a movie. Let's link up. What are we doing tonight? And all those different things. So.
And ultimately, I think when you go to college, that's what you want to have. You want to have that group of people who, regardless if you don't talk to them for 6 months, you're going to pick up the phone and you're going to pick up right where you left off.
Right. Exactly.
And I think that's really important. On the floor again, we talk about how we weren't very good early on, and then each year we kept getting better and better and better. We won a conference championship your sophomore year or junior year. I'm sorry. What was it like to be able to accomplish that? To see you were such a key part of our program, going from not being real good to being now 3 years in a row being in the NCAA tournament, 3 years in a row going to the CAC championship, 2 conference titles. What is special about that for you?
I think for me, it was the fact that I learned a lot my freshman year. I learned a lot about college ball in my freshman year. Going into my freshman year, I was still extremely proud of my talent and what I thought I could do, to the point where I was convinced still that I should at least be D2, a basketball player. I had so many D3 recruitment, things like that, but I didn't get a single D2 one or D1, even though I would talk to guys who were heads of the system of different systems, so like Hoop Group or Big Shots, which is more East Coast and things like that. And they were like, yeah, that's a great player. He should be D2 at least, things like that. So because of how everything played out going into my freshman year, I still had a little bit of arrogance that was like, I should be better than this. I should be higher. And coming into my freshman year with the amount of playing time I got and how I played with the playing time and what I thought I could do versus what I actually did, it was humbling, and it forced me to just a drive to be better, because what you thought you were not at, what you thought you were at, you weren't. And I hated that feeling. Hated that feeling of being like that I was wrong. And so that was really the driving force for me to get better. And then as a team, I feel like the more and more we played, the more and more because all the guys, like especially our junior year, we won the tournament, the CSE championship. That team, especially a lot of the upperclassmen, was the exact same team as my freshman year, except for 2 seniors. When you think about it. So it was a lot of, I feel like as a team and as a whole, we all kind of had that same mindset of we can't be the laughing stock for this long, right? we're all mad. We were all like, we're tired of losing. We think we're better than these people, but for some reason we can't figure it out. Everybody had that feeling. And after 3 years of playing together at that point, it was, everything clicked, right? My sophomore year was when we went down to Salisbury, had double OT and lost.
Really got screwed by a bad call.
On
a moving screen that never happened. I remember. I was sitting there. Really, we're one bad call away from playing in 4 straight CAC championships. And Salisbury went down to CNU and almost beat him that year anyhow. I think it was a 2-point game on a late shot at the end. So essentially, yes, I'm crying over spilled milk, but I'm still kind of bitter about that call because we're right there. I mean, we're right there. So I also thought, too, that there was a competitive edge to that group. Like, you guys love to compete, and I think that was a huge thing for this group.
Because when I think about that team, you had Dalton, who, after coming off the injury, right, and let's say before injury, so before his second shoulder injury, he was lighting up the CAC. Yep. He was absolutely destroying the CAC, but the team around him wasn't good enough, right?
Yep.
We hadn't figured it out yet. Dalton gets hurt my sophomore year. Matt is lighting up the CAC, and Blade is coming along, right? Yep. But Matt is scoring 35 points. He's shooting like up near 40% from 3.
Lighting it up is exactly right.
He was lighting the CAC up, right? Yep. And Blade is slowly coming along. By the time junior year happens, Dalton knows what he can do. Matt knows what he can do. Blade found out what he can do in Dalton's absence, right? And then there's me, Jared, and Mike, Mike, and Darren, who got a lot of playing time, who basically had to be thrown into it and had to help. In my sophomore year, we had to help the team because Dalton was out. Now you're asking for more scoring from other people. You're asking for more responsibility from other people and things like that. And so by the time we hit junior year, we all knew our role. We all knew exactly we all knew Matt shooting the ball, he gonna make it. Dalton and Blade is just twin towers. Whoever wants, and they literally could be whoever wants to run to the paint go to the paint, other person, you can shoot a three because they could both shoot three. And they could both win any one-on-one matchup that they had in the post. And then Jared, Darren, and Mike would just fill in. And it could be any one of our nights would score 10, 15 points to help out the other three. And then, like you said, we were all just competitive because coming off that double OT Salisbury loss, we're just mad because we knew because what you guys don't see and what you guys don't hear is when we left to Salisbury, Coach told us, tell your teachers, tell your professors, we're gone for the weekend. We're gone all the way through because we're going down to Salisbury and we're winning. And we all believe we're going down to Salisbury and we're winning. And we all believe because of how we played CNU at home that year, we played them really close again that year. I think we were up. I remember I fouled out that game, but we were up for a long time. Or we were playing them really tough for a long time where it was really like just hand in hand.
That was a really good CNU team.
And that was a really good CNU team. That was probably their best team that I had seen. And we believed that we could have won. And so when we left for Salisbury, and that was the week before spring break, we were saying, tell your professors, we're gone. We're not coming back because we're going down to CNU. We're winning. I mean, we're going down to Salisbury. We're winning. We're going down to CNU. We're winning, and we're coming back for a championship. And so we all were confident in that, and we all believed that we could do that. And then for us to lose, especially the fashion that we lost, where it was so close, right? Yeah. It was just like we were fed up. We were fed up with losing, and I think that's what you saw going into junior year, where we won 18 straight to start the season, and then we finished the year tied for first, and we run the AC tournament like with no regard for whoever we were playing. It was just whoever's in front of us kill, and that's really what we did.
Well, and I think too the fun part of your junior year was, we start the season off with the win streak. We had the game against Middlebury, which was unbelievable. We had the game against Washington and Lee, which was two back-to-back games that were just bonkers. I mean,
because and you think about it, we went right before the break, we played Swarthmore.
Yes.
Right? So it was Swarthmore, Middlebury, and Washington Lee at Washington Lee.
Yep.
And I hated that because all three of those teams ran the same exact way. And all three of those teams, coach said, Jason, take the point guard. He's going to run at the court. At the opposite, you need to pick him up immediately.
You're like,
at that point, I'm tired.
Well, especially that Washington and Lee game, you had just gone, a really tough game against Middlebury the night before, and then you're coming right back, and it's played at a tempo that's just
it's same tempo. I gotta pick up the point guard 80 feet, and I gotta run with him all the way down. I gotta run off some veer top ball screen.
Some big dude setting a screen on you.
Setting a screen every single time down. Or it was when I tell you the same game plan at each time, where it's pick him up 80 feet, pick him up 80 feet, pick him up 80 feet. And I'm like, coach, again? He's like, yes,
Jason, again.
You got this. And I'm like, well, I guess I gotta do it.
No, and that's I always thought it was one thing that I think playing for Coach Hunter that I appreciate from my vantage point is he's not going to ask you to do something he doesn't think you're capable of doing.
Right.
I think he's he would run through a wall for you guys, and in turn I think that's something that's really important. I think as I look at his team, and a lot of our good teams at York have this same common denominator. It's really a family. In terms of you guys spend a lot of time together. I mean, a lot of time together. So I think if you don't get along and don't like each other, it can be tough. So I want to segue a little bit. I want to talk about your family. Your mom and dad were just about at every game. Enjoyed the heck out of talking to them. Missed them this year. Talk a little bit about what your family has meant to you throughout your process.
I think my family is just as important to me as pretty much everyone's family. and they support me in what I do. They give me advice on what the things I'm confused about. They give me their vantage point and what they see and what they see, how they see things turning out because of their experience, and they support whatever decision I make. Um, I could have went to any other school and they would have supported me the exact same way. They would have been at every game. They would have made things happen that they needed to make
Yeah.
happen. So my family's always there for me. I love them. They love me to death back. All my brothers and sisters, I annoy the heck out of them, but that's how I feel love. Uh, and we are a family that just enjoys spending time together, and we laugh, we cry laughing, and we
That's
just
never a bad thing. That's
it's
when you
never
got
a
a
bad.
kid.
Oh
Not a
man,
bad thing.
I had another one of those moments a couple of days ago where my mom told me something, and I was trying to make a retort, but I couldn't because I was laughing so hard, and it just kept going. Like, so yeah, it love my family. Love is there's nothing bad I can say about
Yeah. Well, they're loved seeing them. Hopefully, we can get them back to a game sometime soon.
them. Absolutely.
One of the reasons I want to talk to you today too is about what's going on in our country right now. Obviously, your experience is far different than mine, and I think it's important for people to hear from you about what's going on. One of the things I think that's important is there's a lot of people in York who have watched you play basketball, or probably have no idea, kind of what makes you go and what experiences you've had. I think it's never these conversations are something that we need to all have. So to me, like, what are some of the things that you've been experiencing over the last, since the murder of George Floyd? What are some of the things that you've experienced maybe that people wouldn't know about, or people maybe totally wouldn't understand?
So it's the crazy thing for me, and I think for a lot of my friends, is that the actual murdering of George Floyd wasn't a big shock to me because
Oh, because it's happened.
seen it, right.
It's
I've seen it.
happened so much. It's
I've seen
unbelievable.
it happen.
Yeah.
And so it was and I honestly I didn't even I haven't even I still haven't even watched the full video, and I don't
Uh,
think because
don't,
for me there's
don't.
not really a point because I know,
Yeah.
and there's such a numbness to it for me, um, because I've been brought this situation has been brought up to me so many times. I've had the conversation with my parents multiple times. I've had the conversations with my friends multiple times. I've advocated on social media multiple times.
Yeah.
And so it sucks that it sounds like that, it feels like this, that
Right.
it's like, here's another one here, all right, time to go through the routine again. But the part that's great is that it sparked so many conversations like this.
Yeah.
You mentioned before the uncomfortable conversation with the black man.
Yes.
That is something that we all have needed to have.
Mm-hmm.
That is something that is needed to happen, but it hasn't happened yet, but it's happening now, and we don't necessarily know exactly why this time is different, but it is, and I love that it is different. I love that regardless of how the optics is with different corporate companies saying they're all coming out now and saying we support Black lives and things like that, and how it might be trendy in social media, but the more awareness that comes out of it, the better, because the more people start to understand and realize that there is a little bit of a double standard. There's a little bit of sides of the coin in America. The better.
I will say this. I think one thing for me that I've talked with my wife about, and I've talked with my son about. We had neighbors that were black. We just moved like a year ago. We love them. They're unbelievable. But they have a son who's Shane's age. They go to school together. They're friends. They get a good relationship. They have to have different conversations with their son than I have to have with mine.
Right.
And to me, that's sad. That's the converse. I don't have to worry about him going out in a car. I mean, I do because he's 16 and he's a knucklehead. But I don't have to worry about him having to run in with the police. And I don't. To me, I don't care who you are. That's real. That's as real as it gets. Right. And it's all across the country. It's not like these incidents have happened, in one small area. Minneapolis, where you're originally from Minnesota, right. Correct? Yeah. So, and it happens in the South. It happens in the West. It happens all over the country. So, to me, I think it's just, it's time to have those conversations. Right. It's time to talk about things that we can make better. To me, right. To be honest with you, this is, if you would have told me 2 months ago, this is a conversation we probably would have been having, I probably would have been like, "Whoa, really?"
Yeah, maybe.
But I'm glad we are, because I
right.
think it's important, and I think it, to me, all of our, and I say this in terms of, a smaller group of Spartans. I want all our kids to feel like they belong and they're comfortable, but all people should feel like they're comfortable and belong. At the end of the day, we're all human beings. So
I think that's
I appreciate your, one of the reasons I reached out is because your presence on social media is really good. Like, it's you present great points that make somebody like me go, yeah, that's something I didn't think about, but he's right. Is that something you kind of, as you get on there and be able to have your voice?
Yeah, I definitely try and do that, just because, and I mainly do it on Twitter. That's kind of my number one, like, space to, like, just push out and advocate for things. And like I said, me and my parents have these talks a lot. My dad, since we've been little, has always advocated for one of his children to be in politics for some reason or another. I have no idea where the idea came from. I don't know, but he always has this a little bit of, he likes trying to make that change.
Yeah.
And so we have those conversations. We have those conversations a lot. So my mind is always, I wouldn't say always, but whenever I think about these things, I'm trying to find proper solutions. What's the best way to go about different things? Yeah. And there's no best way, but there are ways to make different changes. You mentioned the uncomfortable conversations. My mom talked to one of my high school classmates' parents, who's also our chiropractor, had one of those uncomfortable conversations. She left the house and was gone for 4 hours for a chiropractic appointment because she was having one of those uncomfortable conversations. And it was one of the things where it's just like, sometimes people don't understand. People don't know.
Oh,
like you said, you didn't know that there's two different sides. There's the normal conversation with your 16-year-old saying, "Hey, drive the speed limit, don't hit the curb, stop completely at every stoplight or every stop sign." And then there's the other side of the conversation that people like me and my parents have to have, where it's like, "Hey, if you get pulled over by the cops, two hands on the steering wheel, make sure you already have your driver's license, your registration, all the things that you need out present first. And then talk politely, have the window rolled down, and don't agitate a situation." And thankfully, it's something that I haven't had to deal with. I've been pulled over by the cops twice, maybe, and it was one time literally in my driveway for having my inspection tags undone. I was that close to being home and being safe. And then I got pulled over for speeding because I was rolling down a hill on a Sunday afternoon in an empty, I was going 70 and 55. It is what it is. Yeah. But thankfully, I haven't had situations where I felt that I'm being threatened. But people have. And and unfortunately, it's because of what we look like and what people perceive and what people think about when they see us immediately. And it's unfortunate. It's a little bit ironic. If you've seen the video, have you seen the video of the NYPD police chief? It was a couple of days ago. Him and a whole bunch of other cops held a press conference.
Oh, I saw parts of it. I'll be honest with you. There's some things I don't have the stomach to watch sometimes, and that was
So
you know.
basically, he was being upset. He was upset because him and his fellow officers were being portrayed in a light that they didn't want to be portrayed in. Right? He was saying that this badge is not stained by someone in Minneapolis by doing the George Floyd incident. We are good, clean cops. Blah blah blah. We are being treated like he said we're being treated and portrayed like animals and thugs, and we're being profiled and different.
Wow.
He's being treated like somebody he's not, right?
Yeah.
And it's just like, okay, we hear you, we understand you're frustrated, but the problem is that exact reason why you're holding this little press conference with all your police buddies in the back of you and you're ranting off is that same reason is the reason why people out in the streets protesting. Because for some reason, one way or the other, regardless of what we do, regardless of whatever petty crime it is or heinous crime it is, we don't get treated to the same level of respect, dignity, and in humanhood. I don't even know. But that we feel like we deserve and we should deserve because
you're a human being.
We're a human being, and all humans should be treated the same way. We see other people being treated one way. Why can't we be treated the same way? And that's all we're asking.
I think somebody brought up a really good point. I don't remember who I was talking to. I've talked to a lot of people about this. Actually, it was Corey Thurman, who does pitching lessons for my son. Corey played for the Revs and, professional baseball player, great dude. He has 2 little ones. And actually, I had the conversation with him about his conversations with his kids. Now, his kids are pretty young, but still, those are conversations. And I hope as his kids get older, he doesn't have to have those conversations. Right. But, Corey said to me, he goes, listen, if it's a good dude, I'm going to treat him like a good dude. And if he's a jerk, I'm going to treat him like a jerk, but I'm not going to look at him and make that judgment on just looking at somebody. And I think that would be a sound advice for all of us. If somebody treats you good, treat them good. If they don't treat you good, then that's on them. Then it's fine. But
but I think at the same time, even if someone treats you like a jerk, they're still a human.
They are. That's very true.
And exactly, and the days that you have, for some reason, something's just off and you're just upset, and you maybe involuntarily treated someone like a jerk. You might have raised your voice at somebody in the wrong way, and you didn't even mean to.
And that's very fair. That's very fair. Yeah. No, I think you're right. I think we all have those days where we're not quite as peppy as we are on other days. No, and that's it. And I think that's part of the, I just think as a human race, we don't treat each other very well anyhow. I just don't think, I think that's one thing that I've really tried with my kids to say, just treat people the right way. It's the easiest way to go about it. Because you're going to get a lot, more out of life if you're just good to people. So, well, Jason, I want to say thank you so much for taking the time to do this. I appreciate it. And, if you ever have anything to say, you're more than welcome to let me know, and we'll come back on and we'll do this again. Cause I think this is really good for everybody to hear. And, I will tell you this, I will stand with you every day, and I'm very thankful that basketball has brought you into my life and into a lot of people's lives. And I just want to say thank you for taking the time to hang out with me and talk.
Sounds good. Thank you, Scott, for having me.
Please tell your mom and dad I said hello.
Absolutely. They'll love to hear from you.
All right. Thanks, Jay.
No problem.
At York College, we are proud of the fact that we have over 30 cultures and 30 countries represented among our campus community. We not only are proud of that fact, we celebrate the unique perspective and differences that each and every person on this campus brings to us. So on behalf of all of us at York College, I want you to know that you are welcomed here.
Tu eres bienvenido aquí. Vous êtes bien reçu ici. You're very welcome here.
You are welcome here.
You are welcome here.
Você está bem-vindo aqui.
You are welcome here.
You are welcome here. You are welcome here. You're welcome here.
معكم رقية آل الشيخ من كلية يورك في بنسلفانيا. أنتم مرحب بكم هنا. We are welcome.
From day one at York College of Pennsylvania, you are welcome here.
I want to thank Jason Bady for taking the time to talk to us today. Certainly a great stroll down memory lane talking about the Spartan basketball team and his time on the hardwood for the Spartans, but more importantly, some of the social issues that we get to talk about, and certainly something that a conversation that probably needs to be continuing and keeps going on. So we hope you get a chance to enjoy this and maybe think a little bit as well. So until we see you next time, stay safe, stay healthy, and go Spartans.